Teamfight Tactics. 9.6 notes. Hey tacticians, welcome to the Teamfight Tactics patch 9.16 notes. The headliner for this patch is the introduction of the hextech origin, bringing Camille, Jayce, Vi, and Jinx to the Convergence. Is that the name of the TFT map? I didn't know that. Also, they gotta update the fucking artwork for this page. Holy moly. This is fine. This is old though. I think this artwork's from 2014 or something. But the background for this page is like, wow, there's ultra old Rise. Rise hasn't looked like that since forever. Alright. Tier 5 champions. In addition to the fun new stuff, we're also making a few less flashy but hopefully just as satisfying improvements to a few systems in Teamfight Tactics. The randomized round-by-round matchmaking system will no longer pitch you against the same player multiple times in a row. Oh, thank you. Additionally, we're limiting the number of round ties by adding the whole new Earth overtime buff that activates at the end of long battles. Okay. We've been pretty happy with the player damage change from patch 9.15, but we've added some base player damage to keep close end games from going too long. Last but not least, 3 new little legends and the second beta pass round out of the new stuff in this patch. Take this portal if you're looking for League of Legends patch notes. Now, let's get into it. Thanks, Blake. Beernana. The hextechs. The hextech champions are all strong and serve their own purpose, but together they give some counterplay to items. But the bomb item can be played around. We hope this adds a new and interesting dynamic to play around. Trait. Throw a bomb at an enemy unit with an item and disables all items. Throw a bomb at an enemy unit with an item and disables all items in a 1 to 2 hex radius for 8 seconds. Shouldn't it be throws a bomb and disables? Come on. Camille's ability, the hextech ultimatum, roots an enemy and forces her in-range teammates to target whoever she's fighting. She's a blade master and she costs 1 gold. Jayce disrupts the enemy frontline by knocking back an enemy unit with his thundering blow. He then switches to his mercury cannon, bringing increased attack speed and ranged damage. He's a shapeshifter. He costs 2 gold. Vi. Ability. Targets the furthest enemy and charges towards them, knocking aside and damaging every enemy along the way. That's kind of cool. So now you can, like if they have a Ashe or a Draven in the back, you can have your Vi just like fucking slingshot straight towards them. That's cool. He knocks her target up and damages them. Vi is a counter to my build. Pickle. They needed to add something, dude. They needed to take care of you somehow. You were dominating the fucking Convergence. That sounds so stupid. You were dominating the Convergence, dude. Jinx. Ability. Gets excited after her first takedown, gaining bonus attack speed. If she scores a second takedown, she pulls out fish bones, her rocket launcher, causing her attacks to deal AoE damage. That's cool. I like that. I think that that's what they should have added. They could have put in her alt or like her, whatever it is, her traps. But I like that she uses her passive. That's cool. Matchmaking. We've improved how the player matching works to prevent the streaky scenarios where you would face the same player or ghost army 2 or more times in a row. So I think that what they mean by this is in the game mode. When you're already in the game. So this isn't like matchmaking when you queue up for a match. This is matchmaking when it's picking you an enemy out of the other players already in your game. Earth overtime mode. We don't like draws. I also don't like draws. They aren't fun. So now, 30 seconds into every battle, Earth overtime kicks in and speeds things up for 15 seconds. Draws are still possible, but there should be a lot less of them. 30 seconds into every battle, the Earth overtime bonus will activate. 300% attack speed, 200% ability power, 66 reduced crowd control duration, 66% healing reduction, 30% increased affection towards maritime mammals. That's a little manatee joke for you. Ranked changes. Teamfight Tactics rank system is looking pretty good overall. Even so, we're taking stock and making a few tuning adjustments, specifically a couple bugs and inconsistencies made it a little more forgiving than we intended. You'll now almost always be demoted if you lose LP in any game you start at 0 LP. This was always intended. Additionally, Grandmaster and Challenger players who demote will now skip Master and go directly to Diamond 1. This is due to some funky situations at the top of the ladder, making it impossible for GM and Challengers to demote. If you want to read more about these changes and why we made them, check out Sap Magic's post here. As intended, everyone will now be demoted if you lose LP in any game you start at 0 LP. For Grandmaster and blah blah blah, they already said this. We've also made adjustments to LP gains and losses underneath the hood for extreme edge cases. For the most part, you will not see or feel any changes based on these optimizations. Player damage. We've made some changes to player damage in patch 9.15 and overall it worked well, but it led to games being longer than intended, especially when fights were close, so we're making some adjustments. Overall, damage should still be less than at launch. Base damage now scales with current stage. Stages 1 to 2, 1 damage. Okay, that's fine. Brawler. Brawlers are quite strong and are getting a bit too much free health, so we're toning that down a bit. So they're the same when you have brawlers are just 2, I think. So same when you got 2, and then down 100 and then down 200. So not really a big problem. Demon. We're redesigning the demon trait bonus to not be quite the shutdown of ability dependent units like it was before. Instead, demons drain mana, allowing them to cast their spells faster. Demon basic attacks have a 40% chance to burn 20 mana from their target and return 15, 30, 45 mana to the attacker. Okay. Ninja. Ninja should be strong single units that have a place on almost any team. Right now they're not getting there, so we're buffing their trait and some of the individual champions. So plus 10 on both. Nobles are still underperforming a bit as an end game fantasy. We'll likely need to make bigger changes to address this, but for now we're giving them a small bump. 60 to 70. Sorcerer. 3-piece Sorcerer is just a little too strong due to its versatility. I'm moving it down by 5% at the 3 Sorcerer mark, but you still get 100% when you have 6. Wild. Wild is still underperforming. We're giving it a little more. Attack speed 10% per stack to 15% per stack. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but that's fine. It was 8% at launch, now it's already 12. Interesting. Kha'Zix's damage down. Mordekaiser no longer casts his ability if there are no enemies in range at the start of the cast time. Nidalee now always heals 2 units when she transforms. Previously, she would only heal herself if she had the lowest health on her team. Vayne attack speed down from 0.75 to 0.7. And percent max health down by 4% at max. So that's tier 3 Vayne does 4% less on hit with her passive. Braum, I thought that Braum was really strong, but I played Gunslingers a lot, so it was like, why does Braum just block everything? So he's down by 100 base health. Lysandra total mana. The mana required to cast her ability is down by 25. Lulu ability health. So that's when she casts her wild growth is down by 75 as a tier 2, and then a tier 3 it's down by 150. Zed up by 50 health, attack speed up, ability damage. I feel like Zed's ability damage is... Like, I praise them for having that cool thing with Jinx. Like, I don't think that Zed's cool thing that makes him cool is his Q. Like, I think that Zed should do like a shadow thing, or use his ult, or something cool like that, you know? Like, have him look cool on the board. Because Zed's defining ability is definitely not his fucking Q. Yeah, Zed should have his ult. Just, it could do the exact same amount of damage and, like, be the exact same, but he should do something cool. Aatrox no longer casts his ability if there are no enemies in range at the start of the cast time. Evelyn now prioritizes her current target with her ability. No longer casts her ability if there are no enemies in range. I did notice this, where she would, like, ult people that she wasn't attacking. Katarina no longer casts her ability, blah blah blah. Attack damage is buffed by 15. Kennen does the same thing. Giovanna, Leap AI improved to better kite away from her target. Akali. Brand. Ability damage up by quite a bit. Damn. 50, then 75, then 100. Cho'Gath. Ability damage down by 75. And then 150. And then 225. Damn, that's a big fucking nerf. That nerf was really needed. The Cho'Gath one? AP Cho'Gath was insane. Okay. Yeah, well, it was huge. Just knocked up everybody. Kale, attack speed, decrease, misfortune, health up by 50, total mana down by 25. They word it weird here. When they say total mana, what they mean is the mana that's required to cast her stuff. So it triggers 25 mana earlier. And Karthus starting total mana now is 40 out of 125. Whatever. Items. Hush. Reworked. Now has a 33% chance to hit on hit to prevent an enemy champion from gaining mana. We're calling it mana lock for 4 seconds. So this is a new thing? I don't know what a hush is. Is that the blue thing? This guy. Okay, it's called hush. I never knew what this was called because I play in Korean. Infinity Edge, damage up by 25%. Or up by 50%, that's fine. Redemption does 500 extra healing. Static Shiv. Damages bounces 4 bounces. 90 damage per bounce to 3 bounces. 100 damage per bounce. That's pretty big nerf. Warmogs now heals a maximum of 400 health per tick. This mostly nerfs its effects on PvE dragons. Yeah, that was pretty funny. I do like that they get the effect. Like if the dragon spawns and he has a thorn mail and your team's like, what the fuck? Guardian Angel tooltip updated to reflect functionality, does not interrupt abilities or remove positive buffs. Dragon with death cap one-shotting people. New drop mechanic. In rare instances, it's now possible to drop a full completed item instead of 2 components separately. That's interesting. But I guess they never changed the there was a drop mechanic that everybody was bitching about with like how if you only get gold, you're totally fucked. They wanted it so that everybody got rolls on items, not like that everybody got the same items, but everybody had a chance. Like everybody was given the same number of items, which does sound more fair. Because if you you're up against somebody and you're like, what the fuck, I've got nothing. This guy's got like 6 completed items. What the hell? I got nothing. Hello, Nemesis. Yeah, this guy agrees with you, Mr. Pickle. That new drop mechanic is unneeded and honestly terrible. It's going to get really frustrating if 2 components combine into an item I simply don't need. Exactly what I thought. I'd rather have 2 separate items than a completed item, which is why I partly hated Dragon Plus rounds. I don't like the full item drops off PvE rounds. If you need items because you didn't get any drops earlier, it feels horrible to get a random ass redemption or blade master buff, etc. when you need to build something useful for your comp. I feel the same way. I don't like this idea at all. Guess we'll see. Well, Pickle, your dream came true. We made the TFT patch notes like you always dreamed of.